It's good of you to come. You weren't put off by those idiots who say that Marx is dead. Well, I am. And I'm not. That's dialectics for you. Now, you may wonder how I got here. Public transportation. I didn't expect to come back here, though. I wanted to return to Soho. That's where I lived in London. But a bureaucratic mix-up. Here I am. Soho in New York. Well, I always wanted to visit New York. Why have I returned? Clear my name. I've been reading your newspapers, and they all proclaim that my ideas are dead. Well, that's nothing new. These clowns have been saying this for over 100 years. But don't you wonder, why is it necessary to declare me dead again and again? Well, I had it up to here. I asked for the right to come back, just for a little while. But there are rules. I told you, it's a bureaucracy. It is permissible to read, even to watch, but not to travel. Well, I protested, of course, and I had some support. Socrates told them that an untraveled life was not worth living. Gandhi fasted. Mother Jones threatened to picket, and Mark Twain came to my defense in his own strange way. And Buddha chanted, hum. But the rest of them kept quiet. And my God, at this point, what do they have to lose? Yes, there too I have a reputation of being a troublemaker. And there too, protest works. Finally, they said, all right, you can go back, you can have an hour or two to speak your mind, but remember, no agitating. Well, they do believe in freedom of speech, but within limits. They're liberals. You can spread the word. Marx is back. Oh, just for a short while. But understand one thing. I am not a Marxist. I once said that to Piper. I thought he was going to croak. I should tell you about Piper. We were living in London. Jenny and I and the little ones, plus 2 dogs, 3 cats, and 2 birds. Barely living. Flat on Dean Street, near where they dumped the city sewage. We were in London because I had been expelled from the continent. Expelled from the Rhineland, yes, from my birthplace. I had done dangerous things, you know. I was the editor of a newspaper, the Rheinische Zeitung. Hardly revolutionary. But I suppose the most revolutionary act one can engage in is to tell the truth. Well, in the Rhineland, the police were arresting poor people for gathering firewood from the estates of the rich. Well, I wrote an article protesting that. Then they tried to censor our paper. I wrote another article declaring that there was no such thing as freedom of the press in Germany, and they decided to prove me right and shut us down. Only then did we become radical. Isn't that the way it is? Well, the last issue of the Zeitung had a huge headline in red ink. Revolt! Well, the authorities, that annoyed them. So I was ordered out of the Rhinelands. So I went to Paris. And where else do exiles go? Where else can you sit in a cafe all night and brag about how revolutionary you were in the old country? Yes, if you're going to be in exile, be one in Paris. That was our honeymoon. Paris. Jenny found a tiny flat in the Latin Quarter. Heavenly months. But the word was out. From the German police to the Paris police. It seems the police developed an internationalist consciousness long before the workers. So I was expelled from Paris too. We went to Belgium, expelled again. We came to London, where refugees come from all over the world. Well, the English are admirable in their tolerance, insufferable in their boasting about it. Oh, excuse me. The doctors told me the cough would go away in a few weeks. That was in 1858. But I was telling you about, pardon me, about Piper. You see, in London, the political refugees from all over the world used to march in and out of our flat. And Piper was one of them. He buzzed around me like a hornet. He was a flatterer, a sycophant. He would station himself 6 inches in front of me so that I could not evade him. And then he would quote my writings to me. I would say, Piper, please don't quote me to myself. Well, he had the audacity to say, thinking it would please me, that he would translate Das Kapital into English. Oh, the man couldn't speak one sentence of English without destroying it. Oh, God, and English is such a beautiful language. It's Shakespeare's language. If Shakespeare had heard Piper speak one sentence in English, he would have taken poison. But Jenny felt sorry for him. Well, she liked to invite him to our family dinners, and one evening Piper came and announced the formation of the Marxist Society of London. The Marxist Society, I asked, what is that? Well, we meet each week and discuss another of your writings. We read aloud, examine sentence by sentence. That's why we call ourselves Marxists. And we believe completely and wholeheartedly in everything you have written. Completely and wholeheartedly, I asked. Yes, he said. And we would be honored, Herr Dr. Marx. He was always calling me Herr Dr. Marx. If you would address the next meeting of the Marxist Society. I don't think I can do that. Why, he asked. Because I am not a Marxist. Oh, heavens, I didn't mind his bad English. Mine wasn't that perfect. It was his way of thinking. He was an embarrassment. A satellite encircling my words and reflecting them to the world, but distorting them, and then defending his distortions like a fanatic, denouncing anyone who would interpret them differently. I once said to Jenny, you know what I fear the most? And she said, what, that the workers' revolution will never happen? And I said, no, but the revolution will come. It'll be taken over by men like Piper, flatterers when not in power, bullies and braggarts when holding power, dogmatists. They will speak for the proletariat. They will interpret my words to the world. And they will create a new priesthood, a new hierarchy, with excommunications and indexes, inquisitions and firing squads. All this in the name of communism. Delaying for 100 years the communism of freedom. Separating the world in between capitalist empires and